Back in the early 2000s, when I was in my late teens, I had a rocky relationship with my mother, and she kicked me out a lot, or I would just storm out. So I spent a lot of time aimlessly roaming the streets, often at night. One night I was walking up the hill towards home. It was late, like 2 a.m., so the street and road were empty. A car drove up behind me, crawled beside me for a minute, then stopped a few steps ahead. As I walked by the driver, big guy with a round fat face and dark starry eyes, said something like, "Hey, I want to talk to you." It wasn't unusual for dirty old men to accost teenagers in those days, so I was accustomed to it. But for some reason, I felt very on edge. That saying about all your hairs standing on end is very true. So instead of giving him the usual piss off pervert, I just power walked past and stared ahead like I hadn't seen or heard him. He put his foot down and sped past me, turned the car around, and pulled up next to me again. So this time I was on the driver's side. I backed up 2 steps and half ran across the road, looking at my house up ahead, thinking, shit, I need to get back over that side. Then he sped past me again and flung the car around, really aggressively this time, and braked hard a few feet ahead of me, opening his door at the same time to jump out. I panicked and sprinted back across the road, down our neighbor's driveway and down the side of our house. We had a side door that was in an alcove, so I was squeezed into that, fumbling with my key in the dark, trying to open the door. While I was doing this, I saw his car creep up and stop at the top of the driveway. He got out and walked a few steps down the driveway, looking for me behind the hedges. Luckily, he couldn't see me, squeezed into that doorway in the dark, so he got back in the car and drove off. I got in the house, shaken, told my brother the weird story. We had a laugh about it. We were teenagers after all, and forgot all about it. A few years later, I saw this guy's mugshot all over the news. He's been convicted of multiple murders, kidnappings, and of girls and women in our local area, and is suspected of many more. All these years later, they're still pinning historic cases on him. I'll never know for sure, but I'm pretty sure it was him. Same round face, same dark, starry eyes, same area, same time frame. Weirdly, it bothers me a lot more now that I'm older than it did back then. Maybe because I have daughters of my own now. So yeah, that's the story of why you should never kick your kids out of the house at night, no matter how much of a little shit they're being. Just send them to their room. Hey Reddit, I'm posting this here because I honestly don't know who else to talk to without sounding like a total lunatic. I'm currently spiraling a bit and need to get this off my chest. To give you some context, my family is part of the old Sicilian nobility. We're talking ancestors who've served kings and popes kind of old. Lately, I've been deep diving into my family history, specifically focusing on one ancestor from the 1500s. This guy was the definition of a Renaissance villain. He had ties to the most powerful and ruthless families of the 16th century: the Borgias, Pope Alexander VI, Cesare, Machiavelli, Leo X, Charles V, Hernan Cortez, and Ferdinand the Catholic. He was not exactly a good guy. The records show he was incredibly violent. Inquisition stakes, executions, brutal family vendettas, forcing women into cloisters. He held the title of Baron back then, which later became a princely title for his successors in the 1600s. We know almost everything about his life, except for one thing: his death. The chronicles just stop. He died at 65, but nobody knows how. All we know is that he was buried in a magnificent black marble sarcophagus beneath a basilica in Sicily. Fast forward to World War II. The Americans bombed the island, the basilica was leveled, and his tomb was lost under the rubble. Gone. Now, here is where it gets weird. I currently live in a family villa located right on the land that used to be his fief. About 3 weeks ago, I was sleeping with my bedroom door locked. I woke up in the middle of the night in what I assume was sleep paralysis. I couldn't move, but I could see everything clearly. I watched my locked door swing open. A figure walked in. He was tall, maybe 5'7", dressed in full 16th century noble attire, with a sword at his belt, his leather gloves soaked in blood. His face was deathly pale, like a literal corpse, and his eyes had no pupils, just empty white sockets. He gripped the bedpost, stood up on the end of my bed, and just stared down at me. I was paralyzed with fear. Then he started speaking in an old Sicilian dialect. "You know everything about me. I am your lineage. I'm still here under the rubble. Oh, you blood of my blood who listens to my stories, I beg you, find me. I am waiting for you." I closed my eyes, and when I opened them, he was gone. I could move again. I barely slept since, but this has happened every single night for 22 days straight. Two things have absolutely broken my skepticism. The portrait. I had never seen a painting of him because they're rare. A museum recently sent me a scan of an uncatalogued portrait of this baron, and, guys, I swear it was him. It was the exact man from my room. There's no way I could have known what he looked like. The date. I just found out he died on March 2nd. My birthday is March 2nd. I need to write this down because it's been 3 months and I still can't shake it. I know how it sounds, but I swear every word of this is how I experienced it. I've always had vivid dreams, recurring ones, emotional ones, a few that felt so real I had to take a minute after waking up to figure out where I was. But nothing like this, not even close. One random Tuesday I went to bed at my usual time. Normal day, normal evening, nothing weird. And then the dream started. Except calling it a dream feels wrong because it didn't behave like one. I opened my eyes in a living room I didn't recognize. There was this brief flash of confusion, maybe half a second, like walking through the door and forgetting why. Then a woman sitting next to me looked over and smiled and everything just locked into place. I knew her. I knew this room. I knew my life. The confusion was gone and I was just there, living. She wasn't anyone I know in real life, but in the dream she was my partner and had been for years. We had inside jokes. I could remember our first trip together. I knew how she took her coffee. None of this felt invented. It felt like memory. And then time just moved forward, not in jumps or montages, day by day. I went to work, some kind of office job that I don't have in reality. We argued about small things and made up. We moved apartments. She told me she was pregnant, and I remember standing in the kitchen just staring at her, trying to process it. Our daughter was born, and that's the part I can't talk about without my chest tightening. I held her. I fed her at 3 a.m. when she wouldn't stop crying. I watched her figure out how to walk, falling over and laughing every time. I dropped her off at her first day of school and sat in the car for 10 minutes afterward, because I didn't want to drive while I was that emotional. I felt every single day, the boring ones, the hard ones, the ones where nothing happened except dinner and TV and falling asleep next to someone. 4 years, 5, 6, 7, 8. I could picture my daughter's face at every age. If I could draw, I'd sketch her from memory right now. And then one morning, with zero warning, I woke up in my actual bed, in my actual apartment, completely alone. The grief hit me like a wall. I sat on the edge of my bed and just sobbed. Not the way you cry after a sad dream. The way you cry when you've lost someone. Because that's what it felt like. I lost years. I lost a person I raised. I lost a life that felt more real than whatever this is. The worst part is I can't explain it to anyone without sounding completely insane. My friends nod politely when I bring it up. My therapist says it was probably stress-related. But I know what stress dreams feel like, and this was not that. This was continuous, linear, detailed in ways my brain shouldn't be able to produce. Every day had weather. Every conversation had pauses. Pain felt like pain, not some dull echo. I still think about my daughter almost every day. I know she's not real. Logically, I know that. But the love I felt for her was real, and it hasn't gone away, and I don't know what to do with it. A friend sent me this dream tool that breaks them down in context of your actual life, and it helped me see that my brain wasn't making up a random story. It was processing something real, maybe grief or loneliness or some need I hadn't faced yet. I don't know if that makes it easier or harder, but at least it makes sense now. Has anyone else lived an entire life in a dream? Not a vivid scene or a weird night, but actual years that you can remember in sequence? I just want to know I'm not the only one carrying